Hey Patrick.
Hey Mark, how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah, doing actually pretty awesome. I'm pretty pumped for this today, and yeah, for all our new listeners, which is basically everyone. So yeah, welcome. This is the journey of Mark and I, and on our crypto journey. We are normal guys, just like you. And yeah, this is our first episode, and yeah, glad that you're with us. Mark, is there anything special that you would like to say to our audience at the start, or should we just begin with the question, which basically every podcast starts? How did we get into crypto so that our listeners get to know us a little bit more before we dive into the meat of the whole conversation?
No, I'm saying let's just go with it.
Okie dokie, awesome. So yeah, just as a really brief background, Mark reached out to me a couple of months ago because we were in the same Discord channel from Anthony Susano, and yeah, but maybe we can go into this story a little bit later. Mark, maybe you can enlighten our audience and me again. Yeah, how did you get to crypto, and maybe what expectations do you have for the ecosystem and the change over the next, let's say, 3 to 6 months?
Sure. Um, I will give you a little bit of a longer introduction, just not just how I started with crypto, but also how I started
Hmm.
with investing. I think they pretty much tie into each other.
Yeah,
So
sure.
for me, it started in January 2009. That's when I joined Twitter and started following financial Twitter. So I follow people like Map Faber, who is famous for trend following, and also, for instance, Raoul Paul pretty early on.
Mm.
But because I was playing a lot of video games back then, I never really did anything like with the portfolio. I never, invested money or something. I just saved a little bit. And then around 2016, I took a break from playing World of Warcraft and watching League of Legends. And then I started investing more and more seriously. So I set up a brokerage account and I started with Stansberry Research Advisory, which is like a newsletter, an investment newsletter, where they send you a couple of picks each month, and you can invest in them if you like them. Um, and also 2016 is when Real Vision launched, and that's when I really started learning a lot more about finance, investing, and Real Vision was also pretty early on already making content about the blockchain, Bitcoin, Ethereum, even DeFi a bit later on. But I was still playing video games most of the time, so I never really dove deep into it, even though I saw the videos and I saw that it was interesting. And then, yeah, with my Stansberry portfolio, I was doing a put selling strategy, which is, when the market goes up, it is really nice. But then in 2020, the market went down and I got totally wrecked on my naked short puts. And that was also around the time when Raoul Pal and Jack Cruz, who is like a health guy that I follow, they really started hammering the table on Bitcoin, and it was also before the halving. So that's when I got into crypto officially. So I first started getting some GBTC, just the ETF, and then later on I got the actual Bitcoin. But I was still playing video games most of the time, so I didn't really spend that much time in it. I just take my portfolio maybe once per month or something. And then around Christmas, I somehow, oh yeah, I'm not sure if you know like Ryan Selkis from Masari, but
Mm,
he
yeah, heard it.
but he does like a year in review article, like it's like 100 pages or something, where he explains a lot about DeFi. So somehow I got hold of that paper, and that's when I got really fascinated and kind of overwhelmed by DeFi, and that's when I bought my first blue chips. So I bought some Aave, some Uniswap, and Yearn and stuff. And I still like I bought it, but I didn't spend that much time on it. Still, I was still playing World of Warcraft, so wasn't doing much. Spending not much time on reading about Twitter, about crypto. And then I got totally wrecked by the ETH transaction fees because I was just swapping things around and I didn't really realize that how much it impacts your portfolio. And then in around May, I was comparing my portfolio to my little brother's, who was just following BitBoy, and I got totally beaten by his portfolio in like investing in Cardano and I don't know what kind of dog coins.
Mm.
So that was when I quit WoW because I wanted to spend more time on crypto. And then Polygon came around, and then yeah, I did a lot in Polygon. So that's where I really learned a lot about crypto. I did about 800 transactions on Polygon. Then Phantom came around, and then I did about 1,200 transactions on Phantom. And now Solana has come around, and I'm still relatively new to Solana. I've done roughly 100 transactions there. So this is my crypto journey so far.
Yeah, pretty interesting. Thank you. So we never talked in that much depth about it. So did you actually come into crypto right at the COVID crash?
Yeah, right after the COVID crash. Yeah.
Wow, that's honestly, I'm into crypto since 2017, and I bought the peak, but I will tell a little bit more in a couple of seconds. But this is about the best time when you could get into.
Yeah, I think I was lucky, and also I finally like Ralpa was really hammering about it. Like he was tweeting about it
Uh,
like every day that it's such a good chance to enter now and stuff. So
uh,
yeah, at some point I just got tired of the tweets and just looked into it.
yeah, just capitulated into the tweets,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I do have a couple of follow-up questions, but
Sure.
yeah, maybe we can use this at a later point because I know you let a couple of points out there. Just a small reference on Illuvium, for example. But yeah, we can go into this later on.
Hmm.
Um, okay, dokie. Do you want to add anything, or shall I start with my crypto journey?
No, let's hear yours.
Okay, dokie. I try to keep it quite brief. So actually, yeah, I'm one of the guys who got into crypto at the end of 2017, and it was pretty much the October of 2017. I remember it quite nice because I split up with my ex-girlfriend at what comes before October, September, right? Yeah, September, yeah. And yeah, I split up with her on September, and as many of you guys have or had a girlfriend, you're pretty much aware that there are pretty routines that you have every evening, and we had our routine like watching movies and so on. And suddenly my girlfriend was gone, and I was just sitting there watching on YouTube different videos. And then there was this guy who was called Dr. Julian Hosp, and he was talking about crypto. And I was like, interesting. So I do have an engineering background. I do have a master and bachelor in electrical engineering. And so I'm pretty much into tech. And then I just sat there, was a little bit bored, and watched the first video, the second, the third, and over the next 3 weeks, I couldn't basically think about anything else in crypto, and I was basically buying a lot of books, and I was super, super into this stuff, and I would like to learn with it. Want to get rich quick, absolutely along those lines. So I opened up a Coinbase account back in 2017. Their pro version was called GDEX. I transferred some money onto GDEX, basically all my money back then, and I managed to buy the peak. So yeah, I was real quick in terms of investing. So I'm a pretty quick decision maker. I can go into this at a later stage. What is my personal life? What I'm doing on a daily basis. But now in regards to crypto, I think the pretty important part is that I got into crypto at the end of 2017. I started with buying Bitcoin and Ethereum, which I'm pretty thankful for that Julian gave me this advice because since then those performed pretty well. But then I got a little bit greedy and I bought basically every shitcoin which is out there, which had hype around it. So I thought, okay, Patrick, you are pretty smart. At least that's what I thought of me. And I was buying quite a huge amount of my portfolio into IOTA, EOS, Cardano, Ethland. Yeah, I bought Ethland, but I managed to sell it in the beginning of 2018. Otherwise, the world looked a little bit different. I had about 15,000 Ethland or so. So yeah, you might calculate the Aave price with 15,000 and take a guess what I'm missing right now. But there's a different story. So over the years, I was a forced hodler. I really like the meme of okay, at first you're in it for the money, and then when the bear market comes, and I went through a 2 year bear market, you become a community member. So yeah, I'm pretty now a community member. But that changed at the end of 2020, where we all experienced the first bull run. Not all, but I think pretty much a couple of people who are listening to this. Yeah, since then I'm a little bit more into Ethereum. So Ethereum is my heart basically. I love Ethereum. I think Bitcoin is pretty legit, and yeah, so I'm a tech guy who is looking to make some money along those lines. but I'm more like the let's say venture capital guy. I do like early investments. And I'm not so much a yield farmer right now, but this is basically how I got into crypto. So my life changed pretty dramatically because I split up with my girlfriends after about 8 years. Then I got bored. Then I got into crypto, and now it's my passion since then.
Damn, that's pretty crazy, the story on your ETH land. Did
Yeah.
you also have any Bitcoin and ETH that you had early on that you sold later on to buy like shitcoins and stuff?
No, actually, this is one of the good things I did. So I bought a ledger basically on day one, and I pulled my Bitcoin and Ethereum on this ledger, so I never touched it since then. But all the yeah small money I deposited after this went pretty much all into shitcoins, and I yeah panic sold them basically right at the top of the bear market, and yeah, so basically everything is gone. I
Okay,
just I just made a downside like 90%, and yeah, I took the losses and invested it into I'm not even quite sure. I think it was ETH back then.
okay. I would say that's still, pretty impressive because a lot of people have sold their ETH and early Bitcoin.
Yeah,
So
I capitulated to be honest.
okay,
So when you see a portfolio going down from the top like 95%, then you just sit there and think, ah, the 5%, who cares? But over time, yeah, now you can take a look. ETH had its bottom at about $80. Now it's at 4,500. So take a quick calculation. It grew up again and even beyond this. But yeah, hodl, hodl, hodl.
okay. And what's your current portfolio like then?
Yeah, my current portfolio. Pretty interesting question. So um, since I'm into crypto since 2017, I did use a lot of chains like Ethereum, Bitcoin, DeFi chain, Solana, Phantom, Avalanche, you name it, I was there basically. So I did lose a quite of oversight, but the TLDR is basically like this. So I have 60% into Ethereum, I have 30% into Bitcoin, I have 5% into Solana right now, and 5% into let's say more like alternative coins. Uh, Pretty big chunk of it right now is ice, Popsicle. Thanks, Mark, again for this. But yeah, I think this is basically the main thing. So 60% Bitcoin, 60% Ethereum, 30% Bitcoin, 5% Solana, and 5% is the rest. Yeah. How about you?
Um, yeah, for me, I would say my portfolio is probably a lot more degen than yours. I got almost 45% ILV, which is,
Hmm.
for those who don't know, it's a crypto play to earn game called Illuvium, and it's made by the brothers of Kane Warwick, who is the maker of Synthetics. So yeah, I have really high conviction in that one, and yeah, it has gone up a lot, so it grew to be a
You
huge
better
part of my
have.
portfolio. Yeah, so yeah, so that's my number one position. My number two is Bitcoin at roughly around 40%. I only have around 10% ETH, um, and then I have around 5% ICE, Phantom, and like 1% Solana.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
remember. Sorry, go ahead, please.
Oh, go ahead. This was it.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting because Mark, you know that I'm a little bit longer into crypto, and we talked over all those couple of months since we met that your 11 position is quite big. And is it? Do I remember correct that it was a couple of months ago like 25%, and now it's like 45%?
Yeah, yeah, that could be correct. Like I started
Wow,
buying it at launch when it was around 80 $80, and it's
$80.
yeah, it's around 1200 now. But yeah, I've DC8 in, so it's not like I bought all at 80, unfortunately. But yeah, it has grown to be
Yeah,
pretty big.
yeah, interesting. Reminds me of my Ethereum. I hodled it till 80, so you got in at 80. Yeah, fingers crossed that it all works out for you. But we need to talk in a later episode more about your illusion because I know you have pretty high conviction, and I'm pretty skeptical about it. But yeah, I think it would make a good topic for later on.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree. That's pretty pretty interesting content, probably.
yeah, for sure, because I'm a gamer as well, and you said in your introduction that you're a gamer, so I think there lies your conviction. Um, okay, dokie. What about the following thought? I will give a quick explainer how the rest of the show will go on, and then we basically yeah just talk about this, and yeah then we pretty much end it in about, let's say, 40 to 60 minutes. Do you agree, or would you like to take anything else in regards to your portfolio before we do this?
No, no, let's just get started with the rest of the show.
Okay, okay. So the rest of the show is pretty simple in explanation. So our portfolio that Mark and I discussed, we would like to discuss it on a monthly basis. And if there are some ad hoc changes, like for example, Mark is finally coming around that Solana is worth more than 1% of his portfolio, he will take basically a reallocation, and then he will tell you guys and girls that he would took a reallocation. So we do this on an ad hoc basis, but once a month we do the monthly portfolio allocation. And in regards to what we do on a weekly basis, so we plan to release this show on a weekly basis. We talk about anything remarkable that happened last week, and it can be content as well. If there were some nice tweets, some nice blog articles, also else. Then we talk about what excites us, and yeah, this is mainly the main part of the show. I think we could go into much detail into specific stuff. We have a lot to discuss, Mark and I, basically every evening. And yeah, the last part is, I think it could be quite interesting as well. So we thought about how can we make this whole journey, because Mark and I are basically in it for the journey, having fun, learning things, making some money. But we thought about how could this be more fun to the listeners or the viewers. And we came up with a thought, basically Mark came up with a thought, which is pretty awesome, that we do a small portfolio challenge. Just about $1,000. We start with 5 Solana, and we do this on a weekly basis. We start every week. How's our portfolio going? Where do we see potential within the next week? And yeah, we try to make it most actionable for you and most fun for you guys and girls, so you can take some immediate thoughts out of it. Did I miss anything, Mark, or is it
No, I think you got it all.
okay? Yeah, then I would suggest we just start with anything remarkable that happened this previous week, if that's okay for you.
Sure.
And if you would like to start,
Yeah,
or should I
sure.
start?
I'll start it. So last week, yeah, to be honest, I've been kind of busy, so I haven't had the time to really spend too much, keeping up with crypto on Twitter and
Mm,
on YouTube and all these kind of channels. I also have like 300 newsletters unread still in
mm,
my inbox about crypto, but
rip.
the main things that I thought was pretty interesting is that there's some really cool podcasts that have launched this week. So first of all, I would like to give a shout out to The Defiant and Real Vision. They did a collaboration, or they're gonna do like a weekly podcast collaboration, which is kind of awesome. Then Frog Radio, they interviewed Daniele Sesta. Well, as you know, I got a little bit of ice, so I'm also a big fan of Danny. So I really like that they started a podcast. And then there's also someone called Blockmate, blockmates.com, and he also started a podcast. And I think he has really good alpha and really good articles on how certain protocols work. So I'm really excited for that. And then what also happened this week is that Naval Ravikant, like he's an investor in Silicon Valley, but he's like a freaking genius. Like his
Mm,
podcasts are really rare, but he did a podcast this week with Tim Ferriss, so it's definitely a must listen. And then, man, so many things happened in crypto, man. Then
mm,
also some other things that I really liked is that Hasu did an article on DeFi treasuries. I think that was a really interesting one. And we had the meta announcement by Facebook, which was, of course, pretty big. And for me, the highlight of this week was actually Microsoft Ignite, which is like a yearly.
What's this?
It's a yearly like main show where they show their products for the upcoming year, basically. And there they announced a Microsoft Mesh for Teams, which is kind of like a metaverse for Microsoft Teams. And yeah, I think that's it's super
Wow.
exciting because I don't know if you use Microsoft Teams at your office, but where I've used it, and it has just grown, it has totally transformed the way we work at the office.
Mhm.
And I feel like if they manage to implement metaverse elements into it, I think the metaverse can actually catch on very quickly. So that was my main highlight of the week.
Oh, that's pretty interesting. So the Meta stuff on Facebook, I think pretty much everyone heard about it, but not the Meta stuff of Microsoft. Yeah, interesting. Do you do you know if they want to release something specific within the next couple of months, or is it just like Facebook, they rebrand to Meta and they basically tell about, okay, guys, this is our direction.
To be honest, I've only seen some of the announcement trailers, but usually Ignite is about what's going to happen in the next year, what they're going to
Ah,
publish or release. So I'm
nice.
pretty sure it's going to come out before October next year.
Mm. Hey man, this whole metaverse this thing. What's it called? The the phrase of Gandhi. At first they laugh at you, then they yeah, ignore you, then they fight you, then you win. Also, right?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the metaverse is pretty interesting. I think we are at the love stage right now, right at the transition to where they fight you. But yeah, interesting stuff.
yeah, I agree actually. We're just a little bit past the ignore stage now, but
Yeah,
yeah, still early.
yeah, but it's so interesting. There's so much going on in the metaverse. So many people are legitimizing it, and I want to underline what you just mentioned, the podcast with Raval and Chris Dixon on Tim Ferriss. I'm halfway through it and I like it so much and I recommend it to everyone out there because it brings such a big picture for what is going on or what might be going on. And especially, I don't know, Mark, are you somewhat frequent listener to Tim Ferriss?
No, no. I'm not a frequent listener to Ferris, but I've listened to everything that Naval does.
Mm. Okay, then maybe some small alpha for you. So I was quite a frequent listener to Tim Ferriss a couple of years ago. I basically listened to every of his episode, and he's pretty much pretty distant and let's say objective when he talks about stuff. But in this episode where he talked to Chris Dixon and Naval, he was basically given a 5 minute rant on why he's so super hyped on crypto, and he's never been so hyped about a topic for 10 years or so. So some small alpha, I think this could be yeah, transforming the Tim Ferriss podcast into a crypto podcast, pretty much. But yeah, I think there is something going on. But maybe we're just in our small whole bubble, and Tim is just one of us right now.
Yeah, we'll see. It would be interesting to see him like shilling NFTs on his podcast soon or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, for sure.
So, did you notice anything this week?
Yeah, I noticed something. So so like I said, I'm in crypto for about let's say almost 300 weeks by now, and this week it mostly nothing happened, but I noticed two things that I think are pretty interesting. So I noticed that altcoins are start picking up, and I think it might be due to the fact that I don't see any catalyst which could come up for Bitcoin right now. So I'm in this private group with Dr. Julian Hosp, and where he shares his thoughts, and he went through a couple of scenarios he sees for the next couple of months, and they were basically much pretty non. There was no big catalyst for Bitcoin. He talked about how likely it is to get a spot ETF. It's super unlikely. How likely it is to see the adoption of a big bank, of a big company, and stuff like this, which could be a catalyst. So pretty what is it called? Pretty low chance that this will get through. So I think I don't see any big catalysts right now for crypto until so I think the altcoin markets start picking up, which is pretty interesting. And the other thing is that I saw, as you saw as well, I guess, because you might saw your Solana portfolio allocation rise from 2.5% to let's say 1% by now. Solana is climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing. And I think this is pretty interesting because I think right now it's pretty much at a point where it needs to cool down a little bit. So I'm I'm not quite sure what will happen next within the ecosystem. And this keeps me thinking. So yeah, the remarkable stuff is basically I don't see any catalyst, and for the last couple of weeks there was already there was almost every week some kind of catalyst, like the ETF is coming up, but now, yeah, the stock to flow model, with which is projected to reach 100K at the end of this year with Bitcoin and no catalyst. I'm not sure about this. Do you have any thoughts about this for an upcoming catalyst till the end of this year?
Well, for Bitcoin, I think if there's any catalyst, it will come from TradFi. So maybe something with the economy or something with the Fed. I think something like this could be a catalyst for
Mm,
Bitcoin. But I kind of agree with your view that a lot of people are expecting Bitcoin to be above 100K by the end of the year. And I
mm,
kind of think this won't happen, but I hope I'm wrong, of
mm,
course. But yeah, I'm not super bullish on it. But of course, yeah, Bitcoin is still a good, relatively safe holding, so I still like it. But yeah, I don't see any catalyst. But I was wondering though, do you also not see any catalyst for Solana, or did you just mean Bitcoin when you said that?
mm. Um, I don't see any catalyst for Solana right now. And this is a topic I would like to bring up in our next section. Maybe we can transition to it if it's okay for you.
Yeah, sure.
Um, so the next section is what excites us. And I have this thought in my mind, and I would love to hear your opinion about it. So we rarely speak about it, but do you know how many active DeFi users there are right now in the Ethereum network, roughly?
Phew, I would say less than 50K wallets probably.
Hmm. Yeah, it's pretty much around this. So Anthony Sassano, he releases his data pump on a regular basis. At least he's planning to. And he basically has his daily way every week, every day, sorry. And he sometimes talks about metrics. And there was this metric, which was basically you can just guess about how many people are in DeFi right now and active users, basically. And I'm pretty sure he said about roughly 50K, but everyone can just guess. And and there are just about 1 million active wallets. And I'm pretty sure that if you are on different chains, you have, let's say, 10 wallets, but you are just one person. So I think this is what excites me, and which gets me a little bit puzzled, but why I'm also so pumped about Solana. I think right now the blockchain ecosystem of active users is about, let's say, a million at most. Sure, you have some Bitcoin holders, but that's not an active user for me. So I'm thinking a lot about what could bring the next 100 million or so in this ecosystem, because I think this will be the real big leapfrog for the whole crypto space. And yeah, I'm thinking about this, but I don't see anything happen. I'm just asking myself, who can make this possible? And my bet is on Solana, but I don't know how and when. What do you think about this?
Um, I kind of disagree. Like, I think even though there's only 50K wallets right now, I think the amount is probably still growing a lot. I'm not sure if Anthony Susano is just looking at MetaMask data or if he's also taking into consideration, like, for instance, Solana wallets like Phantom and other wallets. But yeah, I think in terms of catalyst of onboarding people to crypto, I think it's partly just NFTs. So we've already had that a little bit. And I think also something like Axie Infinity, because that's also
Mm,
rolling out in Brazil and South America and other parts of the world. So I think these people are also getting onboarded into crypto. I mean, when we're talking about 1 or 2 years out, I think some
mm.
play to earn games, like for instance the Illuvium that I'm interested in. I think those will definitely onboard a lot of gamers onto crypto.
Yeah, but when will it come out? In 2 years, right?
Well, yeah, it's going to come out next year, but then you need a good PC, and then the year after, it's going to be on the mobile phone, so it's going to be accessible for everyone. So I think in 2 years, we will see an explosion in users. We will have easily maybe tens of millions or even more. But
Mm,
yeah, it's kind of hard to see how we go from here to there. But I still think like there's too much money to be made.
yeah,
We haven't reached the top of the frothiness of the bull market yet.
mm,
So I still think there's a lot of growth in number of wallets.
yeah. I got a follow-up question. So I do notice in my realm of friends that a lot of people ask me for advice on how they can get into crypto. So it's pretty pretty huge trend right now in my realm of friends. But my question is basically, so let's say no one knows, but let's say we are at 1 million users right now. Let's say just 1 million people, okay? Um, you said tens of millions within the next 2 years. I agree, absolutely. This is I'm 100% sure. But when do you think we will reach the 8 digits, the 9 digits, the 100 millions, the no, let's say 100 millions, not a billion. When do you think we will able to reach 100 million people? Not just tens of millions, but 100 million.
Yeah, I think personally it will go exponentially. So I
Mm,
think within 2 years we'll have tens of millions, or like 10 million or whatever, and
mm,
then within half a year later we will have 100 million.
mm. Yeah, like the TVL on DeFi, right?
Yeah, I think it's gonna
Yeah.
be a little bit like that. Like if you
Mm,
just see that we only have 50K users, and then the TVL is already, I don't know, like 100 something billion, uh,
mm,
or yeah, on DeFi Llama, then it's just imagine when a lot more
mm.
mainstream people on board.
Oh man, I hope so much this happens because right now, let's say Hopium comes up in the market and everything gets frothy. I think the main thing that will happen is that people will lever up, so they will go into more leverage and basically the let's say 50K active people they just spent the last cent. But I think this wouldn't that's not what brings us to the real adoption, the real the use case, the still early phase, right? Yeah, I'm pretty interested in this and yeah. So your main catalyst for 100 millions, you think it's NFTs and play to earn, right?
Yeah, yeah, correct.
Yeah, any other use case you see right there?
Um, I think maybe some new use cases will be introduced in the next years. Even though we've had NFTs like this year that popped up, and yeah, play to earn also a little bit this year and last year.
Mm,
I think there will be like new inventions that we haven't even thought of that will arise in yeah, next year and the year after. Like if you
mm,
see just how much things, yeah, how many crazy things have been launched this year, and
mm,
it's naive to say that we have had all inventions that there will be. I think there will be some new things that we haven't even considered.
mm. Yeah, I kind of agree, I kind of disagree. Um, but let me ask you a question so we get some actionable advice out of this. You are pretty knowledgeable about the play to earn ecosystem because you have quite a huge Illuvium bag. And let's say someone wants to learn more about play to earn, about how he can get exposure to this stuff because he's also a believer. What would you recommend to people where they can learn more and how they get exposure to it?
Um, yeah, for me it's kind of tough to recommend because I got into the play to earn game that I'm invested in just by chance, just by checking this website which has a collection of all crypto games, and then just entering the discourse, listening to the people, etc. So I got it in it in kind of a weird way, but I would say for people who would be interested in play to earn right now, the first thing I would do is read some of the articles by Pierce Kicks on it, and
Here's
maybe
Kick.
Yeah, Pierce Kicks. He's from Bitcraft Ventures, and
Hmm.
he's really into like play to earn and metaverse. He's really an expert on that, and he also used to be at Delphi, I think.
Hmm.
So I would recommend that. Yeah, and for the rest, I would just recommend just start with some game and just enter the Discord, play the game a little bit. Like you don't have to pay, you don't have to invest anything. A lot of games are free to start, and just try it out and yeah, try different games and see how it goes. Because right now the quality is still kind of bad of the games, but
Hmm.
once you have the magic that you actually get some items in game and you can sell them and you can make some, a little bit of money to do your groceries and stuff. I think that's already, kind of revolutionary. So
Hmm. But it's not possible for Illuvium and Startlers right now that the games are not out yet. And I personally think that if you invest into Axie Infinities, which is out and has a token and stuff like this, there is a couple of upside, but not like a 10x or so. And what about if people want to have a 10x exposure to potential projects? Are there any names on your mind that people should take a closer look at?
Poor, that's pretty hard. Like to be honest, I don't think there are that many quality crypto games yet that are out here. Out there, I personally, I'm a little bit skeptical on Starless, and yeah, I respect Axie Infinity, and I also think actually they will have still some upside because they're I think they got like $100 million to invest in like hiring new people and stuff. So I think they're gonna build it out and make it into a
100
good game.
million.
Yeah, 100 million.
Okay.
So they're gonna bulk up the studio in because the studio I think it's like 20 people or something right now,
Wow.
whereas
You could
Illuvium I
hire a
think it
lot
is
of people with
150.
100 million.
Yeah, well, yeah, but it's expensive, man, to set up a
Yeah,
game
don't tell
studio.
me that.
So 100 million is nothing.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah,
true. Yeah.
you can build up a nice team for 100 million and build and make nice content. So yeah, I still think XE has some upside, but yeah, to be honest, I wouldn't risk it. I don't think there's really anything that's really that you can get a 10x in,
Mm,
like because I don't like the quality of the current games. So maybe,
mm,
if anything, I would say maybe Aurora because it's still relatively new. But personally, I would prefer to go for maybe a 4x on something a little bit safer. And I'm not talking in 1 year, I'm talking in a couple of years, you know. So I think Illuvium has still a lot of upside on it, and but it will take a couple of years. So if you want to make a lot of money with the metaverse games or with play to earn, I don't have any good recommendation for the short term.
mm. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Maybe for our listeners out there. So, Mark, when was it when you reached out to me via Discord? Is it, do you remember?
Um, nah, but I think we were investing in Polygon back then, and it was before DinoSwap came out. So
Yeah.
I would say around July probably this year.
Mm. Oh, July. Okay. About half year right now. So, for our listeners, listen up. Mark is pretty, pretty, what is it called? Selling himself under the real value. I'm pretty sure that's not the right English phrase, but you know what I mean, I guess. So, I'm trying to figure out how Mark is able to make this good investments. He was pretty early into Illuvium, and he was pretty early into Popsicle Finance, and yeah, he missed Cardano. I think Mark, you need to listen to more BitBoy stuff. But the main thing I want to make our listeners aware of. So I'm trying to deconstruct Mark's investment style over the last couple of months a little bit, and he's pretty good at judging opportunities in regards to his quality, and so he's taking a look at it, seeing if the team is nice, if the product makes sense, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, but I think you are paying really close attention to the product and see if this resonates with you personally, and yeah, this is where you base quite a few of your investments on. Is this somewhat correct, or am I missing the main point?
Yeah, like I tend to hold a pretty concentrated portfolio of only a couple of things. And the reason is simply that I have a full-time job and I don't have time to really
Mm,
research a lot of things very deeply. So once I found something that I have high conviction on, I just keep up to date with it. And that is how I build my conviction to hold when the price goes down, for instance. So
mm,
so for instance with Popsicle, um, I got in after the hack, so it's got down to I don't know like $2 or something or $3, and I started listening to the Daniela's AMAs, and I listened to the community and how hyped they were still, even though they got wrecked.
mm,
And
cool.
that was for me the catalyst to research more on them. So basically, something needs to catch my eye, and then I need to do a lot of research on it before I invest in it. And when I have something that I have a lot of conviction in, I usually DCA. But to be honest, I
Mm,
still think it was kind of still beginner's luck, because this is my first year in crypto. And let's say
mm,
if you ask me now, like, what else do you think is interesting or new? I couldn't tell you anything that I'm super excited about right now in terms of new projects. So this is why I think it may be, just just luck or
Yeah,
because I spent some time researching. But
mm,
yeah,
that's really important. So um, I think you have a pretty good filter on filtering out a lot of stuff which doesn't excite you and you don't invest in it. Because I know, Mark, for a fact that we basically talk every evening about 2 to 3 things that came up, and I ask you a lot of questions. Like yesterday evening or so, I asked you, what do you think about, and what did I ask you about? What was it? The Solent IDO? I think so, right?
yeah, it was that.
I asked you about what do you think about the Solid ICO, and it was so funny. I was just doing my research, taking a look. Hey, there is a no team. Okay, nah. And what about the product? Okay, nah. So I was semi excited, but I was at a point. Okay, it could go up, so I will participate in the ICO. It was so funny. I was doing my research, and you just wrote me via Discord. What makes them special, or something along those lines? Just a super simple question.
Hmm.
What makes them special? And then I sat there and was like, huh. So yeah, I couldn't find a good answer, and I think Zonend right now it had an IDO a couple of days ago, and it's pretty much on par what the IDO price was. But I think you have a pretty good filter on to judge if something excites you or not. And yeah, I would love to dive more into this in upcoming episodes to bounce some ideas around with you on what excites us and to talk about you and give our listeners and me and you our real opinion, because I think this will be pretty important. Yeah, just as a quick thought in my mind.
I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, I can give my thoughts, of course, but yeah, for me, it is also important that I have enough time to research something and keep up to date with
Yeah,
something. And
sure.
at the moment, I have very little time to even research new things. So
Mm,
yeah, it's going to be hard for me to find new good
mm,
recommendations. But
mm,
what I would also like to highlight to the listeners is your investing style, because I think many different investing styles work. And what's interesting about you is that you're very good at at sniffing out airdrops. So maybe you should tell a little bit about that.
yeah, sure. I can go ahead. So yeah, I'm yeah, maybe the gamer within me comes out. So uh, just as a really quick background. So I played Counter-Strike 1.6 up to a really high level. Then I played World of Warcraft for about 10 years at really high level, so rank 1 on a regular basis. We transferred our characters to tournament servers and rocked it there. And then I played online poker at really high levels. So I am this gambler. And um, poker introduced me to the concept of EV, so expected value. So where you pretty much take calculated guesses and it makes total sense, right? Whenever someone asks you, hey, should you invest in it? Um, if you want to have a good answer, the answer should be like, okay, this is the investment thesis, and I give it and I have this high conviction. So if you multiply the investment thesis basically with the conviction and with the value, you get your expected value. And I enjoy it so much to do this airdrop hunting. And just as a quick explainer, you interact with protocols, you um, take a look at protocols, you learn a freak lot of protocols. This is a huge upside, and you pretty much get the hang of it. Where could it make sense for a protocol to launch a token, and where you get rewarded for interacting with it early? And interacting is quite of a broad term. You sometimes just deposit money into a LAN protocol, or you make some swaps back on Uniswap and 1inch, or you participate in some kind of dev nets, or you just retweet stuff and stuff like this. So I enjoy it really much because it combines the excitement for me with the making money and also learning stuff. And yeah, let's phrase it like this. So the DYDX airdrop was really good. Thank you, DYDX. It was just I did it basically to learn about DYDX, and I never thought that they would launch a token because I interacted with the protocol a couple of months ago. But for me, it's kind of a dilemma right now because I think a lot of people are catching up to the airdrop hunting stuff. The protocols, they protect themselves more and more from airdrop hunters. You could make multiple wallets. use a protocol with multiple wallets to bet on multiple airdrops. Um, but they get more and more protective, and I'd really appreciate it. So I'm not quite sure if airdrop hunting is even a good thing right now. So I think it's a good thing to learn, but keep it to one wallet. Don't do it like 5 wallets and be greedy. So one of my investment philosophies is don't be greedy, and the other one is be patient. And so yeah, I think it could make a lot of sense if you have smaller bags of money. So let's say your whole portfolio is like 5 digits. So let's say from 10K to 100K. I think you can grow your portfolio super large with doing airdrops because the DYDX airdrop was between 5K to 70K, and also $0 when you live in the US. So sorry, US guys. Um, but I think there were some ways to get around it, but I'm not quite sure. But if you want to use airdrop hunting to make some bucks, use chains where there is small transaction fees. So when your portfolio is between 10K and 90K, I pretty much recommend people to make airdrop hunting. But for 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 us, when you are in crypto for a little bit longer, you have more than 5 digits into it. It's kind of a waste of your time, and yeah. So just a little bit of thought around this and some color around this. Was it some kind helpful, or do you think I should highlight something in particular?
No, I think it's pretty important what you brought up, so that airdrop hunting can be very lucrative and it can also be very educational. But at
Mm,
the same time, it feels like we are in a diminishing world of airdrops, that people are getting
for
smarter about
sure.
it, and yeah, the airdrops are perhaps getting less lucrative
Mm,
overall.
yeah, for sure.
Um, I would say so if people are interested in airdrops, so what can they do? Because they can look at, I think DeFi Llama has a list of all the protocols, right,
Mm,
that haven't airdropped yet. So
mm.
that would be a good filter. And doesn't Solscan or like Etherscan have some list of upcoming airdrops of it or something like that?
Yeah, I can give a little bit of background on what I do.
Sure.
So there is a lot of freaking noise. If you just go into Google and type in airdrops, you get airdrops.io and airdrops claim now and airdrops blah blah blah. So I will give you the TLDR what I do. So I think DeFi Llama airdrop section is pretty bad. There are already protocols in there which have already a token. So what the fuck? So it's not a good source. Um, if anyone wants to reach out, or maybe we can do this as some kind of show notes. I do have 2 documents right now, and where I pretty much take a regular look at. One has about 180 potential airdrops spread over all the ecosystems, and one has about 20 in regards to Solana. This is where I'm basically taking a look at regularly. And the other thing is that I follow 1 or 2 channels on Twitter. So yeah, I'm not an active Twitter user right now, but I want to get more into it. There are 1 or 2 channels I can share, but the rest is just noise. It's just bad. So those 4 sources I can recommend, and maybe we can put them in some kind of show notes as a reference point, or maybe we even launch a Discord the next couple of days so people can reach out to us and talk to us. But yeah, I this is my suggestion, I guess.
Okay, wow. I didn't even know you had such extensive research and documentation on
Yeah.
airdrops, so that's that's pretty awesome.
Mark, there is this website which is called, I'm not quite sure, uh, what the fuck ETH or so, where you can see how many ETH
Okay.
you spend with all the
Mm-hmm.
transactions.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, I have multiple ETH burned over all these years because I did some weird transactions. And whenever I can save someone for, let's say, spending 0.01 ETH right now because you think, oh,
Mm.
it's just $40 or so. If everything goes as planned, guys, it will be $400 in, let's say, 2 years or so, and then you will basically cry. So yeah, every gwei you spend right now could be worth $100 or even $1,000 in a couple of years. So
Okay.
yeah, some alpha around this. So you need to be careful on where you invest your gwei.
Yeah, I guess it would be better to airdrop hunt on Solana because the fees are a lot
Yeah, for
lower still.
sure. But
Okay.
even this, but just one last thought to this. So I bought my first Solana domain yesterday on Bonfida, which is called. Oh no, I don't want to say it right now. I can tell it at a different point. And but you have to claim it basically, and you have to buy a storage for it. So basically, it's pretty similar to the ENS name. you have to allocate some storage, and you can choose between 1 kilobyte and 10 kilobytes. And 1 kilobyte costs like 0.001 Sol, and 10 kilobytes costs like zero point 0.1 Sol. And now I'm sitting there and thinking, zero point 0.1 Sol. Yeah, is it worth to spend like $500 or so, whatever Sol goes to, just to have a little bit more storage on this domain? So yeah, I'm pretty much the same, right?
Okay.
Uh, yeah, I for sure suggest that you start off with Solana and Polygon and Phantom. The other stuff is not so relevant, but I can give it a little bit more color and a more detail if we want to go into this later on.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Um, I suggest we move on to the rest of the topic. So
Yeah,
anything that excites you, and also more short-term things, because we've talked a lot about the longer-term
yeah,
things.
yeah. I do have just one thing that excites me where I would love to get your thoughts on. What about you? How many things you would like to share?
Um, I have a couple of things actually to share. So do you want to start first?
No, it's fine. Go ahead, please.
Okay, well, the first one, and that was like why I was also a little bit surprised that you didn't see any catalyst, is that Solana Breakpoint is next week, which is
Yeah.
the big event in Portugal. So I'm wondering if it's already priced in the price of Sol because it's been going up a lot. I personally think it's not, but yeah, time will tell. Some other things that
Do you,
I'm
sorry,
sorry.
do you, can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, of course.
Um, this event, so why do you think this could be a catalyst? Some big announcement from someone, or why do you think an event could be catalyst? Yeah.
Well, we've just had the Phantom event, and the price went up a lot during the event. Usually, when they do a lot of big announcements, and I think Solana has a lot of money, and they want to start off their first big show with big announcements. I think that just makes sense. I think it's not just going to be hackathons and just you know
Mm.
nerdy sessions. I think it's also going to be some big marketing plays probably. Um, yeah, so I think that's in general, and also I think when people are going there and they see the how big the Solana ecosystem is becoming and how fast it's growing, I think people once they go home from their trip, they will buy more Solana probably
Yeah,
as well.
sure,
So I think in general it will just be quite bullish overall, and of course there's a lot of relationships that are made at the event that will pay out in the months after.
yeah. Mm.
Yeah, so
Okay, I see.
some other things that I'm interested in it is that yeah, right now on my Twitter I have a little spreadsheet that I make, and which has like the yields of a lot of protocols on Solana, and I kind of want to make a graph of it so you can see how the yields on the whole Solana ecosystem, well, kind of the whole Solana ecosystem, how they
Nice.
evolve over time. I think it will be pretty interesting to see if the average yield or median yield is going up or down during the week or during the month, or I think those kind of things are pretty just interesting, just out of
Wow, that's pretty
curiosity.
interesting. I never heard about it. Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, sure.
So this is super interesting. There is this guy on YouTube you and I follow. For me at least, I follow him. I think you as well. He is called Taiki,
Hmm.
and Taiki has a hypothesis which is basically around. He's taking a look at the bridging. So when funds are bridging out and into the ecosystem, do you think that the graph you're talking about, the median yield, do you think this could be similar to this? So to see if there is hype going up or down within an ecosystem?
Um, yeah, for me it's hard to predict because I don't know I don't know what the graph will look like. It could spike all over the place. So
Sure.
yeah, I would have to wait and see until I actually make it. But what I expect is that I think right now, I think the yields are actually going up a little bit these days because a lot of new protocols are launching and having incentives, like Serum and Marinade, Orca, etc. And you have also some new protocols launching, right? Like Francium launched recently. I think
Mm,
Atrax still has to do their token. So I think that's why the yields are in general in the ecosystem quite, racing right now.
mm,
I don't think it necessarily has to do with bridging data, although it would be interesting to see if there's some kind of correlation between
Mm.
bridging in the wormhole compared to the average yields on Solana.
I think it's super interesting. I never heard about the concept of taking a look at the median yield, APR, APY, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to your conclusions over the next couple of days and weeks. Awesome idea.
Yeah, well, I still have to build it, but like I have the data of daily of
And if we
yields,
look like shit,
So
and I'm just
I
hyped.
mean, I have to, I have to, yeah, I have the data so of the daily yield. So why not,
Yeah,
combine
yeah,
it and then check the median yield over time? Like,
awesome idea.
so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, great. Is there anything else that you would like to share? What excites you?
No, I think we've covered enough for now.
Okay. I do have a really quick question, and maybe you can give me your 1 minute answer to it, or maybe a 2 minute answer,
Yeah, sure.
and then we can move on to the last section, which will be a pretty awesome, I guess. So, Mark, thanks a lot for recommending ice to me when it was below $10. So thanks again, my friend. And I'm wondering, the Daniela stuff, right?
Hmm.
Um, he has a lot of products going on, like Abracadabra, Mim, Spell, stuff like this. And I listened to the Frog Radio podcast you recommended a couple of minutes ago.
Hmm.
And in this podcast, and we haven't talked about it, Mark, and I would like to get your opinion about it. He was basically answering a lot of questions about okay, Abracadabra, Spell, stuff like this, and about Popsicle. And Daniela said one thing which stuck into my mind, which is super interesting. He basically said, and I will just paraphrase, it's not a real quote. He said, guys, I would love to talk more about Wonderland within the next couple of weeks and months. I think it gets not enough attention. So my question is basically, it's twofold. First, what do you think about Wonderland? And second, is now a good time to ape in?
Okay. Well, yeah, like this is why I think I'm just like a two-trick pony, because if you ask me about Wonderland, I mean, I know that it launched. I could have joined it, I saw the announcement. I was in the Discord, but I never really had the time or took the time to really research it. So
Hmm,
I don't know too much about Wonderland, to be honest. I do know from what I heard on the podcast that they have a huge treasury and they have enough money to even like buy a gaming studio to make a cool game. So yeah, for me, yeah, it's so hard to know what will happen to Wonderland in my opinion because it could go anyway. Like I have a lot of faith in Daniela, and I think his protocols generally do really well. But I'm not even sure if Wonderland is necessarily undervalued or overvalued. Like, yeah, I can't really give a good recommendation. I do think because Daniele, he's only focused right now on three protocols, right? On Ice, on Abra, and on Wonderland. And I think he mentioned somewhere in one of his earlier AMAs or something that he would like to keep it for this, just these three and focus on these three.
hmm,
So I think all of three have a lot of potential in the future, and Daniele will keep. He's very good at marketing,
hmm,
for instance. So I'm sure we will hear a lot of news on Wonderland.
hmm,
But I do think like making a video game is, it takes a lot of time. So I think it may have some downward pressure in the short term until the game is released, and we don't know how good the game will be either. Like if is it just some NFT game or is it
hmm.
actually like a fun, good game? But yeah, it could go any direction. I'm sorry, I can't give a good recommendation on
No,
this.
that's super helpful because I wasn't aware that he is trying to push those three topics. And if Wonderland is in there, I will just do my own research and maybe we can talk about this in later episodes. So yeah, thanks. This was really interesting and helpful for me. So I think there is some potential alpha, not like buying Popsicle at $2 right behind the hack, but potentially there is some
Hmm.
yeah, let's say 2x in relation to just holding ice. So you can basically outperform ice a little bit if you make a good transfer. So yeah, I'm just needed to do a little bit of research. Thank you, that was helpful.
Sure.
Okay, dokie. Do you want to transition to the last part of our episode?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, just as a quick reminder, so Mark had a great idea that we come up with a challenge, so we make it more actionable and more fun, and also to share a little bit more of concrete things where we see alpha and where we would like to allocate our own money, and this is our own. Uh, those are 5 SOL out of the pocket of Mark and out of me. And so the challenge basically goes like this. So we start out with 5 SOL, and everyone is free to invest into whichever ecosystem he would like to invest. We try to stick to Solana for the beginning, but let's say we are in week 2, 3, 4, and for what reason, whatever, Mark is thinking, damn, I need my Illuvium, but I just need it on Ethereum mainnet, and damn, I just have 5 SOL, which is about $1,000, and I need to spend $200 just for transaction fees, but I think it could be worth it. He's basically deducting the transaction fees and not taking out of a different pocket. So we mainly try to increase the overall value of this portfolio over time. And yeah, this is basically the thought. So just 5 SOL for the start. We start with the Solana ecosystem, and then we are free to do whatever we want. And yeah, we make it a fun challenge where we just say, okay, guys, this is how our portfolio looks right now. This is how it went over the last week, and this is what we're looking to do with it over the next week. And we just make it more fun and concrete for you. Did I miss anything, Mark, or should we just go into what our allocation looks like for the first week?
I think there's one important thing that you missed, and that is that the 5 SOL we have here, we didn't take that into consideration when we told our portfolio percentages. So this is just like
Yeah,
completely separate
yeah,
thing.
sure, yeah.
And for the rest, I think you got it perfectly.
Yeah, good point. I actually was exactly about thinking this sentence you said right this morning when I brushed my teeth. So yeah, thanks for bringing it up. It's different. So let's say, guys, for example, we say our whole portfolio is like 60, 30, 10. The so in percentages like 60% ETH, 30% BTC, and 10% Illuvium, for example. The 5 SOL, they're not in it, which is basically the idea behind it. Um, Okie dokie. Do you want to start, Mark, or shall I start?
Yeah, sure. I will start. So Patrick and I both invested this morning, roughly at the same time. So we have a roughly fair competition, and later on we can share the wallet address, so you can follow along or something like that.
Yeah, good idea.
So yeah, what I decided to do is yeah, and this week I don't have that much time to research it or to do anything. So I decided to just stick it to the layer ones. So I just kept my Solana, but then what I did is I decided to yield farm with my Solana. And how I did this is that I wanted to enter the MSOL BTC pool on Aldrin, which gives around 100% APR at the moment. So what I did is I deposited around of my 5 SOL, I deposited around 3 in port, and then I borrowed about 1.9 SOL BTC, and then I swapped my remaining 2 SOL or 1.9 SOL into MSOL, and then I pulled them together, and then I staked them into Aldrin. Um, I'm a little bit concerned about Aldrin actually because I forgot that they have like a maintenance for some reason that you cannot harvest the the tokens that they give you for some reason. So I'm a little bit concerned about getting rugged, and I forgot
First
totally
day
about it.
erect.
Yeah, maybe I got totally wrecked on my first investment, but yeah, we'll see. I hope. Yeah, so this is kind of a little bit degen on my side, but the yields were so good, and it's a freshly launched
Yeah.
protocol, but it looks pretty good though. But yeah, I don't know. I could just be totally wrecked here. So I'm just basically yield farming with my soul. That's what it
Mm,
comes down to.
okay. Yeah, interesting. I need to take a look at Aldrin. Yeah, that's interesting. I wasn't aware of the fact that you can get 100% APY on your Sol and BTC, which is pretty awesome. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah. Do you want to add anything, or shall I proceed?
Now I just want to add that it's actually APR, I think, so it's even a little bit better.
APR.
But
Oh.
then of course, it could drop a lot,
Yeah.
because I think the Aldrin price has gone up in the last couple of days. Maybe that influences the APR. I don't expect this to be around for the next week. I think it will be, at 25 or something.
Can you explain real quick for listeners the difference between APR and APY, and why do you especially said that that's APR?
Yeah, so A lot of sites I've noticed what they do is they have this thing called compounding of interest. So basically, let's say you put I don't know, you put your money in a bank, and then um, with the interest you reinvest it in the bank again, and so it builds up to a compounding percentage. And I think that's a little bit unrealistic because in reality you won't be able to keep this up for the entire year to get to your APY number. So I personally prefer APR because that's just a linear amount. So basically, 100% APR means, yeah, you double the dollar value of your money in a year, and there's no compounding. So it is basically like the most conservative part. But even then, you shouldn't extrapolate it too much and keep in mind that yields drop a lot usually. So yeah, but I think APY is quite misleading, but a lot of protocols use it.
Mm. Yeah, thank you.
Sure.
Um, I can give a small nuance to this, so just keep it really brief. So Serum launched a liquidity mining program a couple of days ago, and I sat there at the evening at my desk, and I was taking a look at Atrix, and they had about 450% APY on the ETH USDC pool. And I was taking my calculator out and thinking, "Wow, that's so nice! I need to get into it. I need to." And yeah, the next day, yeah, two things happened. So basically, you get paid the AP R, so the yield. You don't get it paid in ETH or Ethereum. You get paid in the Serum token. So the first thing is that I got rewarded in Serum token, but the Serum token has plunged quite substantial from I think $10 to $7 within 24 hours. And the next thing is that the yields dropped from 400, I'm not sure, 440% where I got in within 20 hours to 60%, so 60. And yeah, so yeah, guys, whenever you see high APRs, high APYs, please take into consideration the slippage to make the swaps. Take into the consideration the swap fees you have to make and stuff like this. So yeah, and maybe even the um, what is it called? IL, like what is it called, Mark?
Impermanent loss.
Yeah, exactly. Permanent loss. We can talk a little bit more about this in the upcoming episode.
Hmm.
But yeah, just do your research, guys. Don't just ape into big numbers. Yeah, is the main message behind that. Do you agree? Do you disagree, Mark? Do you want to add anything?
Um, no, I would just say convert your APR into what you would get in a day or in like a week, and then compare that to how much you pay in swap costs and other things. Usually, when you hear like 300% APR or even 100%, the amount per day is still relatively little, you know. So if you pay 1% slippage and you get like 0.3% yield per day, then yeah, it's net, minus EV basically.
Yeah, yeah, fair point. Good idea, actually. How do you do that? How do you do people a rough calculation around this?
So what I do, well, it's just yeah, very very basic Excel calculation,
Yeah,
like
just
manual.
roughly.
But so what I do is I usually have the amount that I want to invest, and then I have two comparisons. So one comparison is I keep it where it is right now. So let's say it's already in some kind of yield farm, and let's say it's earning 50% or something. And then I have another start where I start with the same amount, but then I have the higher yield, but then I first deduct all the costs that I need to take. So
Mm.
this is also what I do, for instance, when I want to enter a pool that requires a deposit fee, like a 2% deposit fee or something. So let's say I start off with 100 in both sides. I first deduct 2, so 2% deposit, so I have 98 left. And then with the 98, I start yield farming the higher yield.
Ah,
And
smart.
then I just drag the cells below to see when the two numbers match. Like how many days does it take before the higher yield one catches up with my lower yield one that doesn't require a startup cost.
Yeah, that's smart. Basically, an EV calculation.
Yeah, yeah, it's a little bit like that, but then in a very noobish way. And that gives me like a good idea, you know. Usually I don't want to wait more than a couple of days before it catches up. Otherwise, I don't think it's worth it. So
Yeah.
unless you have an asset or a protocol that you think will exist for a long time with yields that will be stable for a long time, then
Mm,
you may consider it.
yeah, yeah. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
Um, should I proceed with my allocation, or what do you think?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, okay. So, Uh, I'm a little bit more into crypto than Mark right now. I'm basically full-time into it right now. I do run a business with my business partner. We have about 50 employees right now, but that's a different story. But we are in the process of getting more into crypto, and this brings me more time, so I can do a little bit more, let's say, nuanced things than Mark. So for the upcoming week, Mark, I have a hypothesis, and I would like to speculate on it. And my overall portfolio, I hope this hypothesis doesn't plan out as I think, but the hypothesis is basically the following. So, as I mentioned a couple of times, I do follow this Julian guy,
Hmm.
and Julian is really wealthy. So he has approximately 500 million, and he's 35, and yeah, he started investing into crypto 2013. So, guys, we all can make it. As CMI, we can make it, right? And he is in contact with quite a few people who have deep market knowledge, and he basically publishes a couple of times a week his thoughts. And right now, he has the following thoughts. So I didn't understand it fully, but the thought goes basically like this. There are some options going on right now, and the options traders are pretty much inclined that the price of the options stays below 62K. I don't understand it, to be honest, 100%, but usually the weekend comes up right now, and there is this CME future stuff going on where let's say, for example, the market is at, let's say, Bitcoin 62K, and the CME closes. Then basically the market remembers the 62K, and when the CME futures open up back again on Monday, it's almost every time roughly around the same number where it ended. But during the weekend, there is some 5% up, 5% down, and I'm betting on a 5% down this week. So I basically do the following. So I have 35% into Sol, I have 20% into Ethereum, 10% into Bitcoin, and 35% into USDC. And for now, I do some yield farming on Frankium and Atrix with it. And if the dump comes, and I'm at my PC right now, so usually on the weekend I enjoy the time with my family, but 2 times a day I'm on my PC. And if I see the prices are somewhat down, like say 5% or so, I will basically reallocate my funds. I will put them back into ETH and Sol. So I will also liquidate my Bitcoin position and my USDC position. I will close down the funds, and I will try to get risk on again, because I think the biggest chance is that we most likely don't reach 100K by end of this year. We will most likely reach, let's say, 80 to 90K, but I think there is a small hype going on. And if you take a look at what happened last year, it's super interesting. At the 6th of November, the hype started picking up. If you take a look at the Fear and Greed Index, I can maybe reference this in the show notes as well. There is This is super similar to last year. So my bet is basically a small dump because of the options, but basically we will get back to where we left the week because of the CME futures. And then we have at the 6th of November, which is basically tomorrow, so which would align with the hypothesis of Monday, we will continue our rally. So I'm trying to make a 10% gain if possible over the weekend. But I do have a conviction about, let's say, 60%. So I do want to have the biggest exposure within Sol and ETH, which is basically my upwards bet, and the downwards is like ETH and it's like BTC and USDC, where I hope for a small dump to have a 10% edge on Mark's yield farming strategy.
Okay, wow, that's pretty interesting. I didn't expect you to go this direction. So,
Yeah,
if I understand it correctly, you bought some B2C and ETH and USDC on Solana, right?
yes.
And which protocol did you use to buy this or to swap this?
Um, oh,
Like
let
Radium
me
or something?
let me think for a second.
Or
Oh
maybe
man,
Orca?
I need to take a look at my transactions. It could be, so I usually do it like this, guys. Sometimes when I'm lazy, and this is part of the lazy slash airdrop hunting strategy, I do it over the Phantom wallet because Phantom might release a token someday. You could also use Symmetry. Symmetry doesn't have a token as well right now, so it could be worth making your swaps right there. Marinate has a token. Radium, has the token as well, so I need to take a look at my transactions, but I'm pretty sure that I did it on. Nah, I need to take a look.
Okay, okay. Well,
Either,
it's okay, but at
e-
least you did it
either,
like there.
yeah, either Phantom or Symmetry right now.
Okay. Wow. I'm surprised you used the Phantom wallet swap because at least I haven't looked too much into it. But if it's anything like the MetaMask wallet, you're getting pretty ripped up on fees, you
Yeah,
know.
but that's okay, Mark. That's part of the airdrop hunting strategy.
Okay. Oh
So
yeah, yeah, I see. Because you want to get the Phantom wallet airdrop, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. So whenever they do it, and I see the chance of doing it is let's let's say less than 5%.
Hmm.
But if they do it, I appreciate the fact that they take fees right now, because if they take fees, it gives me a little bit higher conviction that they make some revenue and they come get to the point where they basically feel the urge to decentralize. I think if a protocol gets to a point where it makes revenue and it gets more into some kind of legal structure, they feel the need to decentralize. There was this protocol which is called Shapeshift or so. Do you remember it, Mark?
I've heard of it, but I don't know really what it does.
Yeah, they are pretty much something similar, and they needed to decentralize. So I think whenever a protocol makes real money, which is why I appreciate to pay fees, it raises the opportunity or the chance that they will have a token later on because they need to decentralize in order to be regulatory compliant.
Okay. And then, if I understand it correctly, your strategy for the upcoming week is to have some crypto exposure, but also a little bit of USDC exposure. And
Yes,
you may maybe expect like a little dump in the weekend, and
yes,
then you have your finger on the trigger to liquidate more to USDC and then to buy back later. Is that what you
exactly,
do? I see, I see.
exactly. So for the short term, I'm expecting the following. I expect a 2 to 5% dump over the weekend on BTC, which will most likely lead to a 5 to 10% dump on the bigger bets. So I'm looking to allocate the funds into Solana and ETH. No smaller cap coins right now. So I think whenever I'm sitting at my desk at Saturday evening or Sunday evening, we will most likely see a small dump. You can take a look over the last couple of weeks. It's usually around this. And yeah, then I will DCA into it. So I'm not trying to catch the bottom. I will see, okay, nice, 2% down or whatever, and then I will take half of it, put it in there, and yeah, try to outperform you.
Okay, wow. I mean, I don't think it will be too hard to outperform because I'm getting yield, but I'm getting it, I'm taking a lot of
Mm,
Solana exposure, so maybe if Solana drops, then I'm already
mm,
screwed. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. Let's see what happens next week and
yeah,
whose allocation is has raised the most.
yeah, I really love the challenge idea from you.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty nice.
Okay, let's take a look. I think that's pretty much it, right? There is nothing that we promised to talk about and we haven't discussed, right?
Yeah, I agree. So I think we should call it an end here.
Okie dokie. Yeah, this was great fun, Mark. Thank you. That was
Yeah, it
awesome.
was.
Okie
Okay,
dokie, guys. Do you want to say something, Mark?
no, I just want to say, talk to you later.
Okay, guys. Yeah, I was trying to wrap it up. So yeah, stay safe, guys. It was a real pleasure, and we will just try to make it on a weekly schedule. We will try to step out all the community stuff like social media challenge. Bear with us. This may take a lot of time, but we will try to make it work. And yeah, thanks a lot, Mark. And yeah, see you later, my friend. Take care.
Sure, see you later.
Bye bye.